evening. I'm Haley Wilkes.
And I'm Scott Dennis. Florida is home to more than 1.5 million U.S. military veterans, and more than 80,000 live here on the Suncoast.
Their presence contributes to an overwhelming sense of patriotism that many residents feel. And this month, Sarasota will become home to an enduring symbol of that legacy.
A first-of-its-kind partnership between the Patterson Foundation and the Department of Veterans Affairs is leading up to the opening of a 2,800-seat amphitheater at Sarasota National Cemetery, known as Patriot Plaza.
The design and construction of Patriot Plaza was fully funded by the Patterson Foundation and will be donated to the Suncoast community and the National Cemetery Administration during a dedication ceremony on June 28th. Over the next 30 minutes, you'll learn how the Patterson Foundation came to be, as well as the conception of Patriot Plaza and an exclusive tour of that breathtaking facility.
We'll also explore the hallowed ground that surrounds Patriot Plaza, the Sarasota National Cemetery, and we'll salute our Suncoast veterans. But we begin tonight with the development of Patriot Plaza. ABC 7's John Scalzi will MC the opening ceremony, and tonight he takes a look at the origins of the Patterson Foundation and how Patriot Plaza came to be.
Chicago in the second half of the 19th century was a political maelstrom fueled by rapid economic growth and teeming commerce. Massive European immigration also made it a center for cultural tensions, complete with street riots. The city of broad shoulders was about to experience the fastest growth of any city in history, swelling from 300,000 to over 1.7 million in just a few decades. This was the atmosphere into which Joseph Medill would carve a place in history. An entrepreneur and visionary, he bought a share in the troubled Chicago Tribune newspaper and built it into a media monolith. He helped create the Republican Party and helped put Lincoln in the White House. After the Great Chicago Fire left the city in scarred ruins in need of leadership, he became mayor. He began the family dynasty of publishing, radio, and television ventures spanning generations that would include the Washington Herald, the Washington Times, Newsday, and America Online.
You've got mail.
Some of that money would end up funding the Patterson Foundation. President and CEO of the Patterson Foundation, Deborah Jacobs.
And where did the Patterson Foundation come from? Captain Patterson, a grandson of Joseph Medill, created the New York Daily News. But he and his second wife, Mary, had one son, Jim. Across town lived the Clark family, and Father Clark was a prison guard at Sing Sing. One of his children, Dorothy, fell in love with Jim Patterson. Jim and Dorothy retired to Longboat Key. Jim died in 1992. 5 years later, after his death, in 1997, Dorothy formed the Patterson Foundation.
Dorothy felt no entitlement to her fortune, as her origins were humble, and so bequeathed to the Patterson Foundation an endowment that would allow the good works to begin. About this time, the Sarasota National Cemetery was dedicated.
Let's honor where the money came from. And there's a long history of military service with the heirs of Joseph Medill down to the Patterson, Jim Patterson. So the idea was, could we do anything at Sarasota National Cemetery? And then we had to learn, what is the government already funding? What isn't there? What's allowable? What are the possibilities? We've actually been at this endeavor for over 4+ years.
The project that was chosen was Patriot Plaza, a place for reflection that would inspire and embrace the freedom that veterans sacrificed to protect.
I think all of the veterans' families, as they come here, or the veterans visiting their loved ones that are here at this cemetery, are just overwhelmed with the beauty. And the cemetery itself is so quiet and serene. And then to have this big amphitheater sitting here, they can come in, they can enjoy the artwork, they can see how we've honored their veterans, and as well as the families and the sacrifices of the families in our artwork. It's such an honor to them. They can come in here and sit, meditate, walk around. It's just their space.
So the acoustics here are just really remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable.
In fact, every detail of the plaza was considered in planning and construction.
Our goal was to create a strong symbolic place
and a space that would honor the veterans, would be an uplifting experience when you were here. And so when we selected the materials, we tried to pick a design it was simple, it was centering, it honored the veterans, it honored the flag and the place that it was in.
In constructing the plaza, the effort was focused on using materials that were made in America, and local labor was sought out.
We wanted there really to be a connection between the sky and the ground in this facility. That when you're there, you're never really outside or inside. That you're protected, you're surrounded, but you get to feel the different types of days. This place is different every day you come out. If it's morning or evening, or if it's cloudy or sunny, it's really quite an interesting place, and it reads different every time you're here.
Patriot Plaza, as unique and awe-inspiring as those it's meant to honor.
Patriot Plaza is emerging as a powerful centerpiece for an enduring symbol of service and sacrifice.
That symbol is made up of the nearly 300 acres that form the Sarasota National Cemetery. Up next, how this sacred ground came to be, why it means so much to the Suncoast.
As long as wars are fought and servicemen and women are needed to defend and protect our nation, we will need national cemeteries.
In 2003, Congress passed the National Cemetery Expansion Act. 6 new cemeteries were to be added in areas of need, and with more than 80,000 veterans living here on the Suncoast, the need here was great. And so the site of a former ranch in East Sarasota County became Sarasota National Cemetery. Row after row of perfectly aligned marble headstones stand at attention. Each one exactly 42 inches tall, 13 inches wide, and weighing 240 pounds. Each one the same, yet telling its own unique story of service to the United States. Every weekday, 8 new stories arrive here. 8 more veterans and their spouses who will be honored here for eternity. One day, U.S. Navy veteran Larry Greger will join them.
I'm not looking forward to dying, but I'm looking forward to be buried in a beautiful place like this.
Veteran Terry James is here on his birthday, placing flowers on the headstone of his late wife. He too will join her here one day, and his fellow veterans.
We fought in wars together. We were doing our service together. So we're all buddies. And being in here where your buddies are, people that's great to the United States, that have given their time, their lives for their country, is just a marvelous thing.
Burials began here in 2009, and since then, nearly 9,000 veterans and eligible family members have been interred here. Cemetery Director John Rosentrader says Sarasota National will have space for thousands more for at least another 50 years.
We've developed these 90 acres. We figure they will last for the next 10 years. And then on 10-year increments forward, they will develop more of the 295 acres.
One day, after that expansion is complete, this hallowed place will stretch far to the south of State Road 72. For now, it's the resting place of veterans like Charles Lang of the U.S. Army. Englewood residents Clinton Jett and Jerry Montour are visiting his gravesite on the 1-year anniversary of his death. They think this is the perfect spot for their good friend, Chuck.
It's clean, it's beautiful. Here on a lake, Chuck liked to fish and liked to boat from Englewood. He was a good man. A lot of other people were here too.
Visitors come here to pay tribute to family members, a spouse, maybe a friend. But there's a greater connection than that. You're paying tribute to everyone here who has served and sacrificed.
It means a lot to come here because you still get that connection, and you know, it's just so beautiful. You have that sense of peace, and you have that sense of that you're with them.
You reflect, you appreciate, and you know, most importantly, you can remember that these souls gave their lives and their service to us, and I find it important.
By 2065, it's estimated more than 150,000 veterans and family members will be buried here. They'll join fellow veterans like Herbert Evans and Walter Fitzsimmons in neat rows of marble headstones, where their service will be forever remembered and honored. The Sarasota National Cemetery's newest addition, Patriot Plaza, is much more than an amazing work of architecture. It also serves to remind us of the price of freedom that's paid by soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and their families.
That message comes to us in the form of inspiring works of art. Up next, we tour Patriot Plaza and explain how its artwork honors not only those who serve, but their devoted family members as well.
Every inch of Patriot Plaza has been designed with careful attention to detail.
That is evident inside and on the perimeter of Patriot Plaza, where commissioned art installations tell stories of war and service. 4 artists were chosen from more than 250 applicants to create pieces that honor and celebrate veterans and their families. It's as grand as the patriotic ideals it strives to embrace. Patriot Plaza is a 2,800-seat ceremonial amphitheater that sits on nearly 2 acres of land at Sarasota National Cemetery. It was donated by the Patterson Foundation.
For 4 years of building and constructing this, our goal has been to honor veterans, inspire patriotism, and embrace freedom.
The plaza is a work of art in itself, but inside and surrounding this vast, tangible tribute to veterans is commissioned artwork. Sandy Beckley is the military initiative consultant for the Patterson Foundation. As she takes us on a tour, we begin at the east entrance with the piece Home by Ann Hirsch.
The adult eagle and the juvenile eagle, and they are in the mantling position, the protecting of home.
The second part of this piece shows the nest after the eagles have left. It signifies home once the service member has gone away to protect our homeland freedoms.
And this is how she depicted and honored the veterans with their home situation.
Also featuring our national bird, the piece Guardian Eagles by Pablo Eduardo greets visitors at the west entrance. The 7-feet-tall eagles are cast in bronze and intricately detailed. Up ahead as you enter the plaza is the installation Night to Day, Here and Away by Ellen Driscoll. It includes 2 spires and a mosaic on the rostrum of the stage.
And this is actually the piece of work that the spires are based on.
The mosaic depicts Earth's landscape going from nightfall to daybreak. It symbolizes that while military families are waking up in one part of the world, their family members who are serving may be watching the sun set on the other side of the globe.
This is where you can see the night to day, the far and away.
Military ribbons make up the horizon line, while blue stars symbolize those who serve. Gold stars honor those who died while serving, and laurel leaves signify courage, valor, and achievement. Just in front of the mosaic sits the star map. It is a globe in the form of a star, and it represents the worldwide outreach of the U.S. military. And in fact, I'm standing right on Sarasota.
We now are in front of the artwork created by Larry Kirkland. He is our lead artist.
Kirkland's installation Testimonies features 16 tablets that focus on the personal experiences of being in service and being part of a military family. They're made of the same Georgia marble used for the headstones in the cemetery.
What you see is a quote from a veteran or a family member. He uses words. He also ties the words into the granite pavers that we're standing on. And then he made a sketch.
The photographs and stories span generations but show a common thread of life in the military, much like the next piece called Witness to Mission, a collaboration between Kirkland and photojournalist Kenny Irby that emanates from the center entrance of the plaza.
What you're going to see off to the west is actually a tribute to the veterans and their sacrifices. In the center, here's the celebration type of photos. Off to the east is the honor the families and the sacrifices of the family.
Witness to Mission is composed of 49 photographs from the Civil War to present time on 22 marble plinths.
Current war is same as Civil War was, in that war is war. And technology has changed, but it's still war.
Times change, but the commitment made by our brave warriors to serve and protect remains steadfast, as does the Patterson Foundation's commitment to use Patriot Plaza as a way to honor the heroes of past, present, and future. It's been said that Patriot Plaza is a place to honor those who came before, those who have yet to come, and the families who stay behind.
Coming up, we hear about that legacy with firsthand accounts from those who have worn the nation's uniform and a Suncoast mother who has found a way to carry on after her beloved son made the ultimate sacrifice.
Plus.
The men and women who serve our country leave behind a legacy, one of courage, honor, and sacrifice. Values of military service featured throughout the plaza.
With thousands of veterans who have called the Suncoast home, their stories and actions have left an undeniable mark on our community. ABC 7's Josh Taylor has the story of personal impacts, physical history, and the ultimate sacrifice.
We beseech you to prepare a place for him that is reserved for America's sons and daughters.
Before becoming the local American Legion in Venice's chaplain for the past 25 years, World War II veteran and Venice resident Lauren Pittman was once an Army Air Corps radio operator and aerial gunner.
It had to be done, and I don't regret 1 minute of it.
Decorated with a number of medals for service and flight.
There were times when I didn't know whether I was going to get back or not, because I served 20 combat missions over Nazi Germany.
Pittman has written eulogies for hundreds of servicemen and women, the last words before they're put to rest, an education, he says, on heroes.
And I've learned so much about people who have done so much for our country.
Their legacy has some common traits.
Pride of the uniform, pride of the country, the pride is always there.
Honor, sacrifice, and courage, he says, comes along with the territory.
You're loyal to the country, you do what you have to do, and it turns out to be a courageous act. It's just the American way.
The city of Venice itself has a legacy when it comes to military service. This was a training ground for tens of thousands who would soon head out to change the history of the world.
This is the actual front gate of the Venice Army Air Base.
Air Force veteran and Venice resident Clark Presley probably knows more than anyone about the role the area played in World War II.
The depth to which this local field was involved in training fighter pilots that went virtually all over the world.
Upwards of 20,000 servicemen and women trained here before heading out, at first support staff like mechanics and medical positions, then came the pilots.
They needed more fighter pilots, and so it took on a secondary mission, which became actually its primary mission as the war evolved.
In the cockpit of P-47 Thunderbolts, P-40 Warhawks, and P-51 Mustangs. One of those planes was even found offshore recently.
And from here, they went into combat against enemy forces with about 50 to 60 days of training.
Presley says the military presence helped save a struggling city and shape the way Venice is today. When the war was over, much of what was left was handed over, more than doubling its size.
Think about the fact that the community perhaps is in existence today because as a result of a war. But the fact is, it was immensely contributing to what Venice became as a community.
Some local legacies, however, come with a price.
Bradenton man, 19.
Sheila Cobb's son, Christopher, was killed 10 years ago, serving as a Marine in Iraq.
We went out on patrol the day before. There was nothing but women and children. They went out on the patrol the next day, and they got ambushed.
The death of the 19-year-old Bayshore High School graduate still impacting his friends and family.
I put flags up Memorial Day weekend.
Sheila's home, a memorial in itself to the young man lost too soon.
Chris is truly missed every day by his family.
The ultimate sacrifice paid by a handful of local military personnel in recent conflicts.
He'll always be a hero to do what he did.
Military men and women who did what they had to do, even though the reality is many wish they never had to.
I would hope that someday the leaders of the world can get together and solve their problems without fighting each other.
Until then, it seems right to honor those who lost and risked their lives for what we hope is a lasting legacy of freedom.
Help us find a way, Lord, to make the world you created a place of peace and love. Amen.
Patriot Plaza. It's a place where freedom is front and center.
At Patriot Plaza, stories of service, devotion, and sacrifice are carved into stone, a lasting symbol of the respect and recognition that all of our veterans have earned.
Soon, the plaza will be open for all to enjoy. A sold-out community dedication will take place on Saturday, June 28th, marking the beginning of a special place of honor.
From all of us here at ABC 7, thank you for watching. And to the Suncoast veterans, thank you for your service.